Hello, friends, and welcome to the Handyman Success Podcast. Our mission is to teach and inspire by sharing the stories and insights of our guests. Whether you're a prospective, new, or seasoned handyman business owner, you will learn practical business tips you can apply today and be inspired that you can reach your goals and create a better tomorrow. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Call, owner of Handyman Marketing Pros. We equip small, family-owned handyman businesses with modern websites and SEO to help grow their businesses online. I'm joined by my co-host, Alan Lee, who has built his handyman business to a point where it runs without him. He now teaches others, step by step, how to do the same thing through his Handyman Journey business coaching. You can learn more about our marketing and coaching services by scheduling a call with us on handymansuccess.net. So whether you're patching drywall, sitting in the office, or making your third run to Home Depot, we invite you to pull up a chair and sit with us on another episode of the Handyman Success Podcast. Today, we're joined by Winn with Winn's Real Handy, located in Richardson in the Dallas, Texas area. Winn, thanks so much for joining us today, man. If you don't mind, give us a little snapshot about your business and kind of where you're at right now.
You bet. Well, thanks guys for having me on today. I've been listening to y'all for a couple of years, so it's exciting for me to be able to input knowledge and be on the other end of the call and of the podcast today. I started my business, right after COVID hit. I haven't been a full-time handyman that long. I've been handy as a man. And that's normally what I tell my clients. I usually tell them I'm not your typical handyman. I don't do 90% of the things a typical handyman does. One, because I don't want to, or two, because I don't know how. And most of my clients smile and go, "Oh, thank you for telling me. I appreciate that." I also tell them, I'll climb under my wife's sink, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to climb under your wife's sink. And I smile and I say, "It's like that." And they smile back and, "Oh, I understand, sure." So I'm not your typical handyman, but I do a lot of handy things. Most of my business is interior painting, drywall repair, texturing. I'm getting into a lot more carpentry work, which I really enjoy. And that's, baseboards, crown, building some cabinets. I do a lot of door adjustments because they're quick and easy. Move a switch or a bolt down just a little bit, or tighten some hinges. I can hang doors. Occasionally, I'm getting into small remodels, but I don't consider myself an electrician or a plumber, so I stay away totally from those projects. I've learned my lesson twice on plumbing issues, on having some faucets blow up on me. So it's like, no, if it touches water, if it touches electricity, I don't do it. I started out hanging ceiling fans and hanging TVs and doing the regular stuff that most handymen do, because that's what I knew. That's what I thought I needed to do. And then as I got busier, I was able to pull those off the shelf and say, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I may not be your typical, I don't do a lot of things just for money. I do it because I want to do it and I enjoy it. And I think that kind of drives me in a different aspect because, and I don't tell my wife this, but I turn down, 3 and 5 jobs. But I've got enough referrals coming in and prospects calling me that I can do that. I can really focus. And the people that call me, I always try to give them a solution. Greg Hyatt, who's part of the mastermind group, that's where I met him a couple of years ago. I give him business all the time because he's about 20 minutes from me. I know him, I trust him, I know he's going to treat my clients well, and I'm sure he's happy to take the business. He's never said, "Winn, don't send me any more business yet." So, my company is usually just me. I'm a one-man band. And I tell my clients, hey, the good part working with me is me. You know who's going to be in your house. I'm not going to send 3 guys you've never met. But the bad part is it's just me. So I may be booked out 3 or 4 weeks in advance. It may be harder to get on my schedule. It's going to take me longer to do that. And I've lost business because of it. One, because they needed it in, 4 days and I'm booked out, or it's, they want me to paint half a house and that's going to take me 3 weeks and they want it done, in a week. That's okay. I'm happy with that. I think that one of the, one of the things I think that I'm most proud of is I run my business like a business, not like a construction blue collar guy.
Mm-hmm.
I try to bring as much business acumen from my photography business, that's what I did for 30 years, into my handyman business. And I think people appreciate that.
Awesome. So
Man,
I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
yeah, that was a great snapshot, Winn. Thanks for sharing all that, man. If you don't mind, I know we'll kind of get into more business details, but how did you start? Like, what brought you into being Winn's Real Handy? Like, you're not a handyman traditionally, you say. I think you are, but Winn's Real Handy. Like, what's the story behind getting started, moving from photography into your handyman business? It was around 2020, you said.
you bet. It was COVID. I had been an advertising photographer. I've had studios for the last 30 years. I ran my own company. And so I was always used to being, on my own. I never had a boss per se. I've never had a paycheck. So it was not scary to go into this. But during COVID, when COVID hit Dallas and Dallas shut down, martial law, you can't go anywhere. My business stops. My phones, I thought somebody turned off my phones. And so after about 2 weeks of watching Netflix on the couch, my wife said, "Winn, go get a job." I didn't know what to do, and I've always been handy. We've owned 4 houses. I've worked on them. And she said, "Why don't you become a handyman?" And I thought, okay. I don't know what that means, but sure. And so I put a notice on our next door page in the neighborhood saying, "Hey, I'm a handyman, just start my business." And the day after that, I was painting a little girl's bedroom, my first job. And I've been busy ever since for 4 years. I think COVID was a great time for me to go into business. Because everybody was sitting around looking at the walls going, "Oh, we need to change this," or, "Oh, I need an office now," or, "Oh, look at all these cracks in my walls. I hate those." So yeah, the COVID made me change businesses. And I wish
Wow.
I would have done it, out of high school. I would have been a GC right now. I'd be building houses right now if I started in high school. I have no doubt whatsoever. But I'm 60. So I'm probably one of your oldest handymen you may talk to. And it's tough. I mean, the first year I lost 30 pounds because you're out there, if you're in the trades, it's hard. And I've kept it off. I'm at 158 right now, and I feel great, except for my knee and my back and my shoulder,
Looking lean and mean, man.
Yeah. And some of my clients, I'll tell how old I am. Most of them think I'm younger. But yeah, so it was COVID that made me change and start this business.
Wow, that's fantastic. And so it sounds like right out the gate, yeah, that first next door ad, you've just been busy since. I mean, what does your client retention look like? Because I love how you describe your business. Like, it sounds like you're just like that neighborhood guy that comes and fixes stuff, right? And you're dependable. So do you have good client retention, and how has kind of return clientele been for you?
You bet. Great question, Alan. I have wonderful client retention. You know when a job's not going well, and so when you need to pick up your game a little bit, or, "Oh, I could have done better on that job." We've all got those, but 99% of the time, I feel my clients love me and they call me back or they refer me to their friends and family. And I think it comes down to reputation. Very early on, I found you guys, and Jason, I had you build my website, which makes me look totally legit, even though I wasn't yet.
I remember.
I drank Alan's Kool-Aid and I got as much into the pro market as I could. And so it was just, looking professional, and kind of fake it until you make it, So, but my client retention, I've got one referral or one prospect, and he's called me 3 times, and I'm not able to do. I haven't so far. I haven't been able to do whatever he calls me for. And it's like either, oh, I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I don't do plumbing, or no, I can't change your ceiling fan, or no, I don't know how to put in the driveway. But he keeps calling me back
Hmm.
because I'm honest with him. And I give him somebody else to call for that problem. And every time I go,
Yeah.
hey, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But hey, remember, you got to call me next time, okay? There's going to be one time I'll say yes. So, but keep calling me back. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
getting probably, 30–40% of my business is referrals now. And the rest is either
Man.
Google or Nextdoor.
Cool.
Man,
So
that's awesome. And I think that's a huge part of like client retention is like helping them out, even if you're not the person to help them out. Like like one thing we have is we have a referral list of people that do all kinds of different stuff, right? Plumbers, contractors, electricians, so that if someone calls us and we can't help them out, we can refer them and they just trust you for that. And I think that's a good key to that. So that's awesome.
Definitely. I've got a list of about 15 people that I print out and I take with me. And I leave it with them
Hmm.
whether they ask for it or not. I say, hey, here's something for your junk drawer. At some point you're going to need these. And
Man.
they always thank me. Oh my gosh, yeah, oh God, this is wonderful. But the number, the first person up there on the list is me.
There you go. There you
we've
go.
got a general contractor that we use, and the first time we met him, he had this paper printout, and it was like handwritten that he obviously photocopied and had a bunch of prints of that had his whole list of people. It's like, hey, if I don't do it, like these are people I recommend, and his name obviously at the top, but it did a lot to
Hmm.
build that reputation. I love that word you used. So we're dipping a little into marketing. I'd love to flesh out more here. But if you don't mind, real quick, Winn, giving us a snapshot, like number wise, as far as whatever you've got. I know you mentioned chatting with your wife this morning over coffee. It seems like she's more in tune with numbers than you are. Takes a team, but if you don't mind sharing like any kind of revenue numbers that you've got as far as what if you have any projections or goals for this year over the last year or two, just to give people a snapshot there, and then I'd love to go back into like your marketing and reputation, kind of more fleshing out the details of what you do there.
Okay, you bet. 2 years ago, I killed myself, and I had a part-time helper, so I would send him out on jobs and I would do other jobs. So 2 years ago, I did 168,000. And about 60, 70 of that was expenses,
Hmm.
and then last year I did 127, and about 60 of that was expenses, but I'm pulling payroll for myself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I can get 8 to 10,000 a month, I think I'm doing okay. If I bring on a helper, when I can find one I trust and know and they can do the job,
Hmm.
and I want them to do the jobs that I'm doing, not other things, that we don't do. Um, then I could easily double that. I feel.
Hmm.
But I'm not really trying to. I know that a lot of people, oh, I've got to build a team and I've got to have other guys, and I don't want to, I'm past that. I just, I want to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. So, yeah, so those are the numbers. I've got a minimum, $160 minimum to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of clients will go, well, what's that cover? And I'm going, well, what do you need? Is it caulking the bathroom and, hanging two curtain rods? Okay. It's about an hour and a half worth of work. I bid by the project, not by the job. Now we all back into that. How long is it going to take us? How much do we, I want to make about 75 an hour. Some days I'm making 100, some days I'm making 50. It just depends on how fast the jobs go. But my jobs have turned into, usually at least a day, if not 4 or 5 day projects. So I'm bidding on, $4,000 to $10,000 projects. And when I do that, my ROI goes way up because I'm able to maximize my time just because I'm a fast painter. I can, I know how to prep a room. I know how to do drywall really fast.
Yeah, and people that aren't watching on YouTube, Wynn's got drywall hands, some plaster on them, like literally came from doing some drywall.
Yeah, he's even got a Band-Aid on one of his fingers. This is awesome. Man,
Yeah,
we could use a
I was bleeding.
tell us the story of your Band-Aid here.
Okay, I have a client that had a hole in a floorboard and a little step up next to his TV. And so I was over at his house this morning. I was also fixing his some drywall next to a shower that had rotted out. And he had some nails popping up along this board. And so I was using my nail punch to hit it. And my nail punch went through my finger. And so I'm sitting there looking,
Oh,
dripping blood down on his floor on his hardwoods. I'm like, so, first tip of the day, always carry a first aid kit in the truck and know where
yeah.
it's at. Because I use my first aid kit at least once a month on something.
Yeah,
And normally it's just a Band-Aid, but yeah, so that was my mistake this morning.
man. That happens, and I think that's a good example of kind of the way the handyman business goes is we think it's going to be straightforward. I'll just get my nail punch, pop these nails in real quick, and then bammo, you put it right through your pinky.
Yeah,
Like that's just how jobs go.
definitely. About 10 years, no, about 20 years ago on a second or third house, I was putting down some flooring in our kitchen because I was too cheap and they were going to come to the next day and lay down, floor in the kitchen tiles. And I thought, no, it needs to be leveled out. I can drop it on some plywood. And I drilled a screw through my finger onto the plywood.
Ooh.
So I had to back the screw out. And then I was like, hey, honey, where are the Band-Aids? So I've been beating up my fingers for a long time.
Yeah,
Back then, it was
yeah, it
the
happens.
business was Wynn's kind of handy, but you've evolved to Wynn's
Exactly.
brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. Wind's kind of dangerous.
Wynn's real dangerous. Yeah. Well,
Wins real dangerous.
well, thank you so much for sharing the kind of snapshot and the numbers and that's a range that when someone asks me, like, what are realistic like owner operator numbers? I think that range of like 10 to 15,000 a month in revenue is a really realistic, great target that when you build in your efficiencies, you can make a good living for yourself. And also, you you've also doing that while being selective of the exact projects that you like to do. And so that being said, let's take one step back. We kind of went into marketing a little bit. You started with a Nextdoor post. And I remember talking to you years ago when you started telling me I put this Nextdoor post up and now my phone's just ringing. That's all I've got going. And so you got on Google, website, etc. But if you don't mind kind of walking us through your marketing journey that's ultimately led you to a point now where you're happy and comfortable with your clientele, the types of jobs that you can do. You have what a lot of people want in that you're not desperate to take on jobs just to make the revenue. So if you don't mind walking us through the marketing journey that's given you this reputation and this choice now to really have your services very tailored.
You bet. One was getting a professional website, making it look great, getting the autoresponders on there, listening to, other professional handymen and asking them how do they do it, and then taking their referrals or taking their uh, guidance and actually doing it. But, for a long time, I didn't ask people for pictures ahead of time. I didn't realize hey, that's a great idea. And so now, if someone didn't want to send me a picture, that's it. I don't read, we're done. And everybody will send a picture, it may not be that good, but so Nextdoor, if you're not on Nextdoor, definitely get on Nextdoor. Like my wife is on Nextdoor on our old neighborhood, and I'm on Nextdoor on our new neighborhood. Get a Google Pay business page. It's a pain to set up. It's a pain to deal with them, but it takes a while. But hire someone to get you a business Google page. Get referral or get testimonials. What do you call it? Google.
Yeah, you want to build Google reviews.
Thank you, Google reviews. Yeah, and I've got 20 of them now. And people find me. They'll go handyman near me, and I pop up for some reason. I don't do any pay for play. I don't do Angel List. I don't do Yelp. I've done those. for about a minute, and it's just, you know, if it works for you, great. There's other ways to get business. Everybody on my referral list that we had talked about earlier, they know that they're on that list, and it's kind of like, well, you're on my list, I want to be on your list. You know, you need to, if I'm referring you, you need to be referring me. Pablo is my plumber. I love Pablo. He's a master plumber, and we refer probably 2 or 3 clients a month back and forth. And when Pablo refers me to somebody and they call me, the conversation changes from how much do you charge to when can you get here, off of his.
Yeah.
And I know if they're calling and said, oh, the Pablo told me to call you, well, he's dug a hole in the wall, drywall, perfect. That's what, you know. You know, I've got a realtor. I've got 2 realtors that one that we buy all our houses from. You know, he knows that now that I'm a professional. He's seen me for a few years. He's referring clients to me. So just, you know, HVAC guys are great. So see who you know that's in the trades that you can piggyback off of, or that you can refer and ask, you know, say, hey, well, can you start referring me? You know, if they're honest, they'll say, well, I've been referring my cousin, you know, all these years, and that's who we use. Okay, great. There's a company called Sweeps and Ladders that I've never met, I've never used, but I refer them all the time because they do everything on a roof. From a roof up, they handle it. And I got a referral from them last week. And I've been referring them for 3 years. Yeah, I can believe it. And I immediately texted them and said, hey, thank you for the referral. He's like, you bet, Winn. You know, anytime. So, you know, he finally realized that, oh, we've been getting stuff from Winn. This might be a good job for him. So
yeah, that's awesome.
You know, I have a leave behind that I leave. I don't do it every time, but most of the time it's a 4 or 5 page leave behind. But it's a cover letter about me, talking about how I came from photography and, you know, my journey as a handyman. And then I've got testimonials on there, a page testimonials, a page of clients and little stars on what I've done for them. And then my certificate of insurance is printed out, and I give that to them. And then my last one is the trades page. And, you know, a lot of, you know, it's a bigger, you know, $5,000, $10,000 job. Most of those people take this and they go, wow, you're much more buttoned up than anybody else we've talked to about this. They all say that, you know, you're much more businessy than anybody else. And I'm like, thank you. I want you to be comfortable. I want to give them, you know, no reason to say no and every reason to say yes. And feel really confident about hiring me. So that's kind of
awesome.
That's my marketing. You know, as Jason will tell you, I'm always taking stuff off my website and putting stuff on. I had him put on an employment application on my website just from Alan's. I saw it on Alan's page. And, you know, if someone wants to work with me, you know, it could just be maybe their name and phone number, but they got to go online and fill it out.
Right. Yeah.
You know, most of these guys haven't gone to college, or, you know, they, you know, don't have a big, you know, reference that they can use, but that's okay. You know, but I want my clients to play my way, and I want my employees to play my way. And that's jumping through
yeah, I love that. And I think that's one way that you weed people out, is you make them jump through a few hoops to make sure that they're serious about it. And I think having your clients, like, one, like if they, like, we require pictures too. And if they don't want to send pictures, they're most likely not going to work out. That's just how it goes, you know? And same thing I love it with employees, right? Like, yeah, an employee should fill out the application on the website. And if they can't do that, you know, are they really going to play by the rules? So right. I love those systems that you've set up, and that's really smart. I had one question about the leave behind. So you leave these things like at every job when you first meet the client, or after you're done doing the job?
No, it's to get the job. When I first meet
okay.
Yeah, I call when someone calls and we set up schedule appointments. I call it a go see what you want.
Okay.
And so it's just to print it off. You know, it's nothing special. I print it here on my laser printer. It's just a 4-page black and white printed information about myself. Yeah.
Maybe next year we got
and
some
when you
color added.
Yeah.
a little bit of color.
Yeah.
And when you go to a go see,
Uh-huh.
do you do that for every single job, or do you estimate some stuff over the phone? Like, how does that work? And do you charge for that? Like, what does that look like?
I do not charge for a go-see. If it's not a big enough job or if it's not in my driving pattern, I don't go. You know, if it's in Plano or Allen or McKinney, which is really only about 15, 20 minutes from me, I don't need to go up there. I've got business here in my own, you know, in this
Mhm.
part of Dallas. So let's see, what were your other questions, Alan?
Well, actually, Winn, if you
Uh,
let's just take one step back, just walk us through your whole estimate process. Like
Okay.
how do
yeah.
you know, from start to finish, how do you go to these go-sees, these estimate
Yeah.
appointments? Like what does that whole process from start to finish look like for you?
Okay. I use Marquette. Is it Marquette? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, still up in the
they don't
air.
even know. I've asked them, and they're like, some people say Marcate, some people say Marcate, and so
Okay.
it's whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Okay. I use Marquette. I got it, very early on. So if a client calls me, I take the information. I used to just have them go to my website and fill out the form right there, and then it would come to me, and I would, look at it and call them back. It depends on how busy I am. Normally, if I'm on the job, like I had 3 calls this morning on the job, I just said, hey, can you text me your name, your address, and I will, when I'm back at the shop, this is my shop. When I'm back at the shop, I will get you on the schedule to come out and see, and do a walkthrough. So that's the first part. So then I put them in Marquette and they're a lead. And then I schedule them. Normally I do my walkthroughs on Saturday, because I want to be clean all day. And I've got a nice shirt that's orange with my logo on it. If you go to my website, no, not my website. I don't know if it's on my website. Anyway, I've got a nice logo shirt that I wear on Saturday, and then I'll meet with them, give them the information, and say, okay, your estimate was going to be coming from Wynn's Real Handy. If you like it, just hit accept right there online, and it'll come back into my system, and we'll get you on the schedule for our next open date. But right now we're scheduled out till, right now I'm scheduled till September 16th.
Mhm.
And so they know that, it could be a while if they accept it, and are they okay with that? We talk about that. Once it comes back into my system, they've accepted it, it comes back into my system. I don't take a deposit most of the time, and I don't, there's no charge to go see. So I'm not charging to go out there. I try to, if it's a returning client and I know if they're honest with me, okay, they are going to tell me the real truth about the project. They do have good pictures. I'll just bid it without going on. But for me, an estimate is just an estimate. I mean, even if I go see it and then I get out there and I've got a stipulation in my estimate that says, things may change if, I don't know what it says, but if I tear a hole in your wall and there's mold, then, we're going to stop. So I've got a clause in my estimate that says, yes, this could be higher than originally quoted. And so, then I put it on the calendar and I tell them I usually only do 1 job a day, and I'm happy with that. If I've got, like this job today, it's a 2-day job today and tomorrow. I got off at 2:45 to come talk to y'all. Tomorrow it'll probably be about 5 hours on a Saturday. That's an okay day for me. It doesn't have to be, an 8 or 9 or 10 or 11-hour day. You shouldn't be killing yourself to make a living in this business. You don't have to work
Yeah.
7 to 7 at all, unless you want to. I mean, Pablo, my plumber, he works all the time. I mean, Saturdays, Sundays, he's got to be banking it. But that's him. That's what he wants to do. He's young. So, I do the job. Now when I go to a go see, I've got my nice shirt on. I wear booties. So I wear shoe coverings. I'm respectful. I play with the dogs. I find out everybody's name that I'm talking to and I write it down. So when I get back to the office, I can put it in the notes. I put the dogs' names down in the notes.
Hmm.
So when I go back, I can, oh, Betsy or whatever the dog's name is. I know it. I know I'm walking in. I don't care about the kids. I don't care. I don't want to talk to the kids. I want to talk to the pets. I take pictures a lot. You'll see on my website of the animals, and I'll text them the homeowner the pictures with little notes, and they love that. Everybody loves getting pictures of the dogs.
Yep.
And I'll ask them, hey, can I use Betsy's picture on my website? She's so cute. Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'd love for you to do that. It's just building rapport that has nothing to do with why you're there. And so after that, I do the job. I don't collect any money. I don't get paid until the last thing's done. I don't care if I have to come back 3 times and I have to, repaint that register on the wall because it wasn't just perfect, or the caulking need to be, just 2 more little strips along, whatever. But if I feel like I shouldn't get paid a cent until every little thing is done. And I've had clients go, oh, well, can I use some money, or do you need money for materials? If I can afford to bankroll their jobs, I shouldn't be doing it. I'm not doing $50,000 remodels. I'm doing my materials, maybe $60 for a can of paint and some paint rollers. Okay.
I'd love to
It
talk
adds up.
more.
I mean, yes, it adds up, but still, yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to talk more about your focus services and how you've kind of come to them and what goes into like your service offering and the jobs that you choose as a picky handyman. But I also want to say to Winn, as far as like the personality that you or the relationship you develop with your clients, I think that you are a really great example of like a professional, friendly neighborhood handyman. Like, I think that you just check all the boxes with the note taking, with the names and the photos. Like it's really just top notch, man. So I just want to commend you for that. Client experience, no doubt, is exceptional, and you can probably charge more for your service too. But all that being said,
definitely.
Okay, one more marketing. You were talking about marketing. This is my business card. I just got it in the mail, and it's larger than I wanted. This thing is 4 inches. But you leave it behind and people are like, oh wow, okay. I used to have a coaster like you get at a restaurant, and people go, oh, I need do I have a little bottle of tequila to go with that? Yeah. But I can't find around coasters anymore that I like. Well, it was just a paper printing coaster. It wasn't like you just So I just got these, and I'm leaving 10 of these at every Sherwin-Williams in Dallas. So when I drive by a Sherwin-Williams, all of them have the board, the vendor board. I mean, I spent a lot of money there, so I'm putting these on, and I already was doing that with my old business cards. I ran out of business cards, so I went to Fort Sherwin-Williams and picked up all my cards until I got these.
Can you hold that up to the camera again? That's so sharp, like the coaster, because typically people are, and this is what I say too, is business cards or fridge magnets, flyers, but you want to leave something behind that people can share and that will not just land in the trash can. Everyone needs some coasters. Like, we're not a household that throws away coasters, even though we have plenty. They're just kind of sitting around everywhere. So I think that's a really sharp idea, Winn.
Thank you. And it's twice as big as anybody else's business card at Sherwin-Williams. You put it in a little slot.
Yeah.
It pops out. Sherwin-Williams doesn't care what you put in there. That's another marketing tip. Just put your card I put my card at Ace Hardware's, and I've gotten business from my local Ace Hardware. It's wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So
where'd you get those made? Where did you get those things made, Winn?
I don't know.
Because I know one place you can get like coasters and stickers is stickermule.com. They make those round coasters. Yeah.
Okay.
That are kind of like that.
Vistaprint's a good place, but okay, sticker mule.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm making a note of the coaster idea to add to.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I think it's really sharp, man.
And before they were just the drink coasters you find at a bar, the plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But these are more laminate. It's more of a cardstock laminate.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep. And the cool thing about Sticker Mule is if you buy $50 worth of something, you get a free bottle of hot sauce.
Oh, cool.
Just so you know,
Hey,
so
I'm in Texas. We love hot sauce, definitely.
there you go.
And I know in Texas too, hot sauce is technically salsa. I don't know. They say some weird stuff over there. My wife's Texan, and hot sauce is technically salsa, like the chunky salsa some
Yeah.
places, and they
Yes.
put
Yes.
squeezy butter in the hot sauce. I'm not sure
Really?
if you got that around that. Maybe it's further outside Dallas in the boonies of Texas, but anyway, that's a side note. So let's go back to your focus services, Win. So
Yes.
you, you
Yes.
you walk through your marketing and everything, but what are your bread and butter services that you really focus on? And I guess just how did you come to offer these services? Do you just enjoy them? Are they just more profitable? Just walk us through kind of your target services that you're offering.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I get a lot of drywall repair requests. Why, I don't know. Just because the soil is sandy in Texas, and we have a lot, a lot of the older houses are cracking. Um, and so when I started out, I thought, oh, I'm going to be, an interior painter, along with the 2,000 other things that a handyman does.
Mhm.
And then people are like, oh, well, I've got a crack, but before you paint it, can you fix the crack? And I'm like, no, but okay, sure. So Jose, who was my tenant in my rent house, I realized that he was a drywall expert, and he wasn't
Hmm.
working in the trades, but he had done it in the past. And so I hired him whenever I could, when he was available, and just stood there and watched how he did it. And so for
Hmm.
6 months, I hired him nearly at least once a week, on these drywall jobs. He would do it, I would paint it, but I would learn how to do it. So now
Hmm.
I use his method when I do drywall. And
Man.
something else that I do, I have a Festool HEPA back shop vac, along with some Festool sanders, which are way overkill. But in my estimates,
Mhm.
I have a spot where I talk about how I want their house to be clean and safe, and hermetically. My HEPA filters will take out all the dust in the air, and it's not only for you; it's for me and my employees. So I use my Festool marketing in my estimates to let them know
Hmm.
that, wow, okay, this is different. He's wanting to protect my house. Um, so, I don't know why I get so much drywall work, but it always leads to, well, I can just paint that repaired area, but of course it's not going to match the wall because the wall hadn't been painted in 12 years. So it just, it builds up. So we do a lot of painting, drywall, texturing. I say me. Um, I wanted to get into doing woodwork. So, I just put it out there. Hey, I'm also doing trim carpentry. Well, what's that mean? Well, if you're not in the trades, no one really knows what a trim carpenter does or what it entails. I've had people,
Mhm.
oh, you add on an addition to my house. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I can put a 2x4 up, but that's about it. Um,
Hmm.
so I learned how to do it. YouTube's great for that if you're dangerous enough, and you can actually, if you say you're going to do it, then you need to do it. You can't get on the job and fudge. So normally I do stuff in my own house before I do it for a client. The French doors behind you, I got those off of Craigslist. They were just the 2 doors, no casing. I'd never done a casing before. I'd hung doors, but Home Depot, you get the casings come with it. So I put those,
Wow.
and they just haven't fallen down yet. So it's like, okay, I can do this. Sure, I can charge somebody for that. I'm not going to be
Hmm.
fast at it, but they don't care. I'm a one man. I already told them I wasn't going to be fast. So
Hmm.
I wanted to start doing more woodwork. So now I have a full wood shop in my garage. I got a 2.5 horsepower, big 4-inch duct, air sucky thing a couple of weeks ago to handle all the dust and all the wood shavings. So I'm starting to build stuff now. And originally it's going to be just for me. And then, I've already had a client said, hey, I've got a laundry room. Can you build some cabinets and I need a
Hmm.
Sure, I can do that. Okay. So I think that if you just put it out there, just talk to your clients about what you want to do and offer in your offerings, you'll find people that want to do it. I'm getting into dog furniture. It's like, hey, okay, wood shop, woodworking. What do I love? Dogs. Oh, let's build furniture for dogs. So
There you go.
I built my dog house, and it's in our bedroom, and it looks like a piece of furniture. So I'm trying to get out of being on the job at your home so much, but still have a high revenue stream of what I do of other things.
Mhm.
You know, this morning I did some, like I said, I took out a piece of floor. I've got to cut the new piece of floor and put it in, and then I'm painting the whole thing. I do a lot of drywall, or not drywall, a lot of wood rot or water damage in showers, or close to showers. So on my website, I think it says, or on my business card now it says painting, dog furniture, drywall repair, carpentry, and home repair. And home repair covers everything.
Nice.
But I'll tell my clients again, I'll walk in, first thing I'll say is, hey, I'm going to tell you no more times than I'm going to tell you yes. And this is
Hmm.
why. And I smile when I say that, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, please. If you don't want to do it, you're not good at it, I don't want you to do it. So I'm really, after 4 years, I'm really narrowing down what I want to do. And it's wood projects. If someone calls and says, I've got my cousin who is a high-end architect here in Dallas. Um, he's called me a couple times, say, hey, Winn, can you build some kitchens for my clients? And I'm like, no, of course, no, I can't, Wilson. I mean, his kitchens, run between probably 75 and 150,000 for the
Hmm.
kitchen he's designing to put in his clients' houses. I would love to
Hmm.
do that kind of work, but I'm not a master carpenter. I can't do that. So I stick to my lane. I say no quite a bit. And next year at this time, hopefully I'll have my wood shop and I'll just be cranking out dog furniture on a high-end level and, painting occasion. We'll see if that happens or not, but that's my goal. Now it's 105 or 107 in Dallas today. So my shop in the garage is probably about 112. So I'm happy to be in somebody else's home. I'm happy to be inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
paint. I don't paint exterior either. It's only interior.
one idea on the custom furniture, or not custom furniture, maybe one day, but the woodworking. I actually had a client years ago that he mailed me a phone holder. It was like this little wooden holder that you could put a tablet or a phone in, and it had a little charge thing that you could, kind of went through the back end of it.
Yeah.
And it was just a thank you gift. And it was just so special and unique. And he told me, he said, all my scrap wood that I have that I've used for projects, I keep it and I make these little tablet phone holders. It takes me very little time, and I give them to clients as like a gift and a thank you. And it
Okay.
promotes his woodworking, custom furniture, carpentry side of his business. And I just thought it was a brilliant idea, and I've never forgotten that. I feel terrible. I cannot remember the guy's name, but it was just such a memorable gift. And
Yeah.
also for inspiration on like dog furniture, custom dog kennels are really huge. Texas Custom Kennels, Daily Woodworks, Robert Daly, he has done an exceptional job at building a woodworking custom dog furniture business. He's all online. But he also did like Murphy beds, custom furniture, dining tables. It's really high profit margin woodworking. And I know he started as a handyman, but overall, it's like creatively exposing that custom woodwork, because your ideal clients that will pay a premium rate for a premium handyman, they would love to have a custom special dining table or a bench or a dog furniture. So anyway, just some inspiration ideas for you,
Okay.
that over time you could start to build up interest and inquiries where, because overall, when you think long term, you're just trying to carve out a larger piece of your pie. your larger piece of your revenue going towards things that you enjoy, things that are profitable, and maybe keep you out of the Texas heat.
Definitely.
So those are just some thoughts and ideas that come to mind when you mention the woodworking.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all. Hey, Win, I got a question because it's awesome that you get to like choose your work and all that. I think it's a huge source of freedom for you. I know that a lot of people that are just starting out in the handyman industry, they get kind of a little scared because they feel like they have to say yes to everybody and they can't say no, like, oh, hey, I don't do this thing. Or like they're afraid to say, oh, I don't do ceiling fans because they're afraid of losing the whole client or losing the job. What would you say to those people? And do you think that when you first start out, you have to do everything, or can you kind of create that boundary right from the get-go? Like, what do you think about that?
I think when you're first starting out as a handyman, your mentality is I've got to do everything because I don't know if I'm going to be able to ever get a call again. I don't, oh my gosh, I finally got my first call and I don't want to say, no, I can't do that. But I think that I would, I've accepted jobs before. In fact, I did this a couple of weeks ago. I've accepted jobs before and then had to call the client back and say, God, I'm sorry, I'm not the right person for the job. I know we met. I know I wasted your time. I'm sorry. But I don't feel comfortable moving forward with this job. But here's somebody that's really good at it. I don't know what they charge. I don't know what, but I know they can do it. But when I started out, yes, I thought I had to do everything. I hung ceiling fans, mounted TVs, the other 40 things that Google says a handyman does. I changed faucets. No, it's not hard to change a faucet if you know how, but it's hard to do it in a timely manner, because you haven't done it 100 times. You don't have the tools. Every faucet is a little different. I'm not a plumber, I had 2 faucet handles pop off and water go everywhere, and I had never turned off a water main before. I knew what one was. I see it outside right now, but I don't know how you even open the what do we call it? The gate or
The lid, yeah.
thank you, the lid. Yes, yes. Now Pablo's been to my house and he's shown me how to do mine. So it's like those things. If you don't know how to turn off the water main, you shouldn't be working on the faucet.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that.
that's a good point.
If you don't know how to tell if the electricity's off totally, you shouldn't be changing the ceiling fan. I didn't know that one. I got that one. And these are all things I've done in my own house. Again, I'll do it for my wife. I'll change my own ceiling fan. I'll do my own faucet because I'm cheap, but I'm not going to do it for you anymore. The answer to your question, Alan, is no, you should be able to say, I'm sorry, I don't do that, but here's what else I can help you with. Or I'm sorry, I know a lot of handymen do that, but I really am not comfortable doing that. I haven't done it enough to be proficient. So you really don't want me in your house doing that, do you? And I smiled just like that and said it, and they're like, oh yeah, sure. I had a client today. She wanted me to change a faucet. She had some woodwork in her house that she wanted to bid on, and she wanted me to change the faucet. I'm like, I'm sorry, it touches water, and I don't do things that touch water. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. And he's like, well, it's not that hard. Don't most handymen change faucets? And I'm like, yes, that's right. They do. You do not need a master plumber to change your faucet. But I'm sorry, I'm not the guy that does it. Whether she's happy or not, I don't know. I couldn't care less. I just know that I don't do it, and I said no. I'm happy with me.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that too. That's also a weeding out question. Like when someone's pushing you to do something that you don't feel comfortable to do, like that no is a complete sentence, right? It's like no. Like I remember one time a lady, she wanted me to fix her ceiling fan, like unbend it. She had moved it here from Arizona in the back of a U-Haul, and it was all bent up. She had it installed and it was all wobbly. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, she's like, no, you can do it. You can do it. I know you can. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And you want to say, why didn't you have the guy that hung it in the house do
Right.
it? You know, he was here, and
Yeah.
you asked him to do it. And I'm sure he said no, you know,
Yeah, because I know if I try to unbend this, I'm gonna make it worse, and then I'm gonna be stuck to you for life, and I don't want to marry you.
yeah. My philosophy is if I touch it, I own it.
Yeah, right. Me too.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you know, a lot of people want me to disconnect lights in the wall and then just, you know, put little caps on them and put the live wire in the wall and drywall over it. And I'm like,
Mm,
no, your house burns down. You're gonna call me.
right.
You know, I want to talk to
Yeah.
the electrician.
Yeah.
You know, I want to talk to Tim or Dale, who I'm going to refer to you. They can come out and cap it off at the upstairs. Well, can't you do that?
Hmm.
Yeah, I can, but no, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
All I tell them is, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not a licensed electrician. That's electrical. I don't know. But when you've got that done, you let me know, and I'll come back in and I'll make it pretty for you. I'll make it look good. Yeah,
Hmm.
you should be able to say no. And it only takes 2 or 3 times saying yes when you should have said no before you learn to say no. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done, unfortunately, I've done that many times. And I'm like, you have that feeling in your gut of like, I should say no here, but I said yes. And then it just sucks, you know, and then you end up eating your words, and yeah, it's the worst thing ever.
And on the other hand, you had a post, I think it was on the Facebook page this last few days, on how do you know when to walk away from a client, or what's your scariest clients. And I
Hmm.
love that. That was a great read. But you know, you kind of know, okay, are they asking too many questions? Do they want to get all the material? Is it a, is it a lawyer? Is it a, what do they do? And I asked them, right, can I ask what you do for a living? You know, oh, my
Right.
husband's a doctor. I'll never see him. Perfect. Great. I'm just dealing with her. Or, oh yeah, he's a scientist. Okay, next. I'm not going to work with a
Yeah.
scientist. You know, okay,
The
here's
the
something.
ones that I've
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Win.
Go ahead, Alan, please.
The one that I found to be the most interesting is guys that call me up and they're like, "Oh, I've been a contractor for 60 years. I just can't do it anymore." And every time I've worked for those people, like they hover over you and they make you feel like an idiot. It's like, "Are you sure you're gonna do it that way?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was just gonna do it that way." You know, it
Yeah.
never seems to work out well.
Yeah. I've got, and I don't know where this falls in our conversation, but I've got a, what was I going to say? Oh, and I don't know how y'all feel about this. I don't charge everybody the same rate.
Oh, this is spicy.
Ah, please do tell.
And see, I can do that because I don't have employees. I don't have, I know what my overhead should be, but
Give us an example.
and I can, and okay, and we're like 40 minutes into this, so I don't think any of my clients are ever going to see this. They're not going to watch 40 minutes of this. So they're never. But if you're in Preston Hollow and Highland Park, which is our ritzy neighborhoods, and I know that you drive a Porsche and you've got a McLaren in the garage, and you've got, you got 6 kids, and you're living in a 18,000 square foot home. One, you're going to expect to pay more because you're going to want the best service, and you're going to want the best painter, the best handyman, the best carpenter money can buy, because you've achieved that status. And I'm happy to offer that because I want that money. And me being able to charge those people more allows me to charge school teachers, a little old grandmother that needs her walls painted, because you can tell she's going to live to be 105. And I don't have to do as much off of her, so I feel me being able to charge some people more allows me to do other things with people that don't have as much, but still want the quality of work. I don't change the quality of work for the grandmother or the Highland Park person. It's one quality. It's one Sherwin-Williams paint. I don't say, oh, I'll give you the Promar at Sherwin-Williams if you're a grandmother, and that's the contractor paint, which I've never used. Or, so that's how that's kind of how my philosophy is. Now, if it's a Richardson, Lake Highlands, just regular my neighborhood that I live in, you bet it's all the same price. But when you go into these gated communities, why not charge more? I don't know if they're expecting it, but they are expecting top-notch service, which I can give. And that way, and I expect to get paid for that.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, it's called elastic pricing. I think
Okay.
there's an actual economics term for price adjustments based on, variables like that. I mean, you don't have to look any further than any kind of grocery store. Groceries, even in the same city, if it's a Walmart that's in a nicer part of town, you can buy the same exact goods, but it'll be marked up even just a few percentage points more in the nicer part of town with a higher median income. So you're just charging elastic pricing. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Okay.
So anyway, Rin, thanks so much for sharing that, man. We're gonna be wrapping up here. And so our last question that we like to ask everybody is, what kind of parting advice would you have for someone who's thinking about starting a handyman business or someone who's new in their handyman business? A huge chunk of our listeners are exactly these kind of people, and they're just trying to figure it out. And so, what kind of parting advice would you have for them?
I knew you were going to ask this because you asked everybody this last question. And I would say keep your day job as long as possible and do this on the weekends. Or maybe go to your boss and say, hey, can I take one day a week off? And then try to work on, Friday and Saturday on the handyman and see how much business you get, how motivated you are, how you like it.
Mm.
Because it's a three-legged stool. When you're not selling, you're doing the job. When you're not doing the job, you're not, if I'm not painting, I'm not making money. Um, I'm not an Allen, I'm not a Jason, I don't have employees, I don't have a company, I have a business. And I've always had just a business. I'm happy with that. That's fine. But I would say, for a new person, see how busy you can get before you quit your job. But let everybody um, uh, let everybody that know what you're doing. Hey, I've got a side gig. It's great. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. This is my new side gig. How can I help you? And just put two things out or three things. You don't have to be a handyman. Decide what you really want to do and what you're good at to start with. If it's on YouTube, you can learn how to do it, but everybody on YouTube makes it look easy because they know how to do it. And it's all pre-recorded. It's not live. Um, so I would say that. I would say don't hire any employees right away. Just do it yourself. Keep all the money, Don't be cheap. Don't be inexpensive. Be expensive because don't start out at $25 an hour or $50 an hour because those are not the clients that you want. You want the clients that are going to pay 75, 100, 150 an hour. Um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, Hank's Handyman is here in Dallas. He's on the Facebook page occasionally. He's killing it. And those guys charge outrageous amounts, but they all know what they're doing. And I'll refer him. If I can't do it, and Greg is busy, Greg Height's busy, I'll refer Hank's Handyman. He doesn't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, hire slowly, fire quickly if you're going to hire somebody. Um, you know, uh,
Take
and
it slow is kind of what I'm gathering here, which
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
also a big advocate of, especially a new business. Like, run solo for 12 months at least. Really, there's seasonality is a real thing in the business. And so there's a lot to experience in the first year.
there is
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And you want to do everything. In my photography business, I wrote handwritten notes to my clients, thank you notes. But that was a totally different level, different a lot more money, a lot bigger budgets. So I had time to do that. I didn't need 20 clients a month or 50 clients a month. I only needed 3. Uh, so for me, I don't look at how much I'm making a month. I just look at, okay, am I busy enough days and the money comes? In our family, I try to pay all the bills, household bills, insurance, everything through my handyman business income. And we put everything my wife makes in savings. And we've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years now since COVID hit, before that. We should have been doing it for 30 years. If we would have done it for 30 years, I'd be living on an island somewhere. You wouldn't see me.
You wouldn't be on our podcast.
Yeah. So if you can, starting out, maybe put every penny you make, if it's you and your wife, put every penny you make on the handyman in savings. Don't go out and spend it after you have a couple of tools and you need what you need. But yeah, it's been a game changer for us. It's really allowed us just to use that money and buy a rent house and invest and build our nest egg on that side, because she makes a lot more than I do. And then if I can make again 8, 10, 15,000 a month, okay. We're in Dallas. My life is a lot different than y'all's. I don't have children at home anymore. Been there, done that. No college, no employees. But yeah, it's a fun life. It's stressful, but and you can, if you go and you quit your job and become a handyman, it doesn't work out, I want to say you can always find another job, and most of the time you can, if you're good.
A funny story of my family is my mom, whenever I left my job, she said, well, at least he's employable. I was like, thank you.
And my mom always said, oh, he doesn't have a real job, an RJ, a real job. He's not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And I never knew how I had it as a photographer. I was in a white collar world in photography. I worked with ad agencies, design firms like Jason's. All I did was push a button and take pictures. It wasn't that hard. Being a handyman, I get undressed in the garage most days. My wife doesn't want me walking through the house in my dirty clothes.
Yeah.
So, being a handyman, you gotta be on your game and be physical.
All right, friends, that's a wrap of this episode of the Handyman Success Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on your journey in building a thriving handyman business. We would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Whether you learned something new or you're facing challenges that you're just not quite sure how to deal with, we would absolutely love to hear from you. We would love it if you would leave us a review, drop us a comment, or hit that like button telling us that you liked this episode. By doing this, you truly help and support us in creating more of these podcast episodes to help change the handyman industry to something amazing. And I want you to remember that you are not alone on this journey. Jason and I are here to help. If you need anything at all in regards to business or marketing, you can reach out to either Jason or I at handymansuccess.net. You can go over there right now and set up a free consultation call with either of us. We would absolutely love to talk with you. So thanks again for spending this time with us. And until next time, go out and be a blessing.